This June, I ran the first ever Toasty Jam. Over 160 game developers joined, 59 of whom submitted a finished game in just 9 days. More impressive still, all of them had to fit into the theme, unnerving and uncomfortable. They also had to be made in RPG Maker or in a similar type of maker engine that doesn't have huge emphasis on coding. I was really hoping to get new game developers making games. I also really wanted to see games that made me feel dread, discomfort, or lingering unease. I think I have Stockholm Syndrome from my recent videos. Some of these entries were the devs' first game ever, where the discomfort came more from endless random encounters, and others were insanely polished masterpieces that ruined my psyche and are probably too good to be free. Whether it won or not, all of these games had elements to be proud of, and the sheer variety of interpretations of the theme has absolutely blown me away. After 34 hours of streaming up to an hour of every single entry, we finally have our winners. It was no easy task to pick a winner, but I promise you will be blown away by all of these games, especially number 1. But let's start first with a few honorable mentions before I go in depth on my top 10. In Stay Cool, you play as a student with hemorrhoids. Not only do you need to just make it through the day, but you also need to impress your crush and find eternal love, which is a pretty tall order. This game features one of the most disturbing gameplay segments of the jam, as you must shove your hemorrhoids back inside yourself. It also has an incredibly sweet narrative where the woman you end up loving isn't the pretty one you seek out, but instead the one who notices your hemorrhoids and supports you through it. In Womb of Worms, you are trying to find the person who is infected with bugs and will birth the next god, so you can stop them before that happens. The atmosphere here is incredibly bleak, and the artwork is on point. If everyone looks like a creepy messed up alien, anyone could be the bug. In Stay Quiet, you're a little kid waiting at home for your mom to come back from work, but a creepy dogman murderer breaks into the house. What'll happen next? This game had some of the most incredible sprite work I have ever seen in an RPG Maker game, and I had to at least mention it. Idol of Fear is literally Fear and Hunger. I don't know how the dev made this in 9 days, but I am floored. It had haunting visuals, creepy enemies, polished gameplay mechanics, but the writing made nearly no sense, and it was somehow harder and more frustrating than Funger. Still, look into this one, it's pretty incredible. In Tongueless, you play as the roommate of a yandere girl who really loves watching ToastyTime videos and is definitely subscribed and also a channel member, which only costs $1 a month for tons of exclusive content. After she finishes forcing you to listen to my sales pitch, you start to find her a little unsettling. I mean, you adore her, but she might have removed parts of your body. The atmosphere of this game is just really unsettling. I love the point-and-click gameplay, and the visuals are fantastic. Finally, though the game needed more polish, I can't end the honorable mentions without mentioning Harvest, where your ship becomes infested with goon bugs who steal your crew members in order to repopulate. This one made everyone uncomfortable, but we also busted out laughing when the protagonist asked this very scared passenger, "Have you just tried escaping?" There are a ton of other incredible entries, and I wish I had the time to go into all of them here. If you're interested, you can play them yourself at the link in the description, or you can watch the stream VODs, which will be up forever on YouTube in their own playlist and are timestamped with each entry. But without further ado, let's discuss. On the outside, this looks like just another RPG Maker game, but trust. In What is a Hero, you play as a hero who has raised an army of 300,000 to fight back against the Dark Lord. But some of your men were bitten by werebeasts and will inevitably transform, so you must decide to cull them now or allow them to turn. Woman says cull, I listen, plus she's an angel and says she'll grant them eternal life in heaven, so why not? You don't just time skip to after the culling though, you have to actually do it. Wow, they beg you not to. So after you've done like 300,000 RPG Maker battles, you continue. Then one of the princes is turned into a demon. You could help fight him, or continue alone since helping fight would leave you slightly hurt and you need to be in tip-top shape to fight the Dark Lord. Then these shadow guys appear, which are apparently the souls of the men you killed, so yeah, they didn't go to heaven, and also your dad is here, who you apparently accidentally crushed in a hug as a young boy without control over his powers. Finally, you reach the Dark Lord, but right as you're about to enter, you learn that an army of his will kill millions of civilians if you don't leave to help them right now. Obviously, you press on, which pisses off your best bud who finally has had enough and tries to stop you, though your angel babe strikes him down easily. Walking through the castle, you find a woman the Dark Lord has captured and given a baby to. Well, we can't have any baby Dark Lord. Finally, you actually confront the Dark Lord. He dies instantly. Turns out the angel that was helping you and who gave you your powers was actually a fallen angel, and she'd been plotting this from the start. It's a simple game with basic combat and default graphics, but that writing, it's intense, heartfelt, and gutting. Watching this naive kid become a pawn of evil hit way harder than I expected. And it did have great footstep sounds. Lovecraftian horror is one of the most unnerving forms of horror, and Waters of Aberine is Lovecraftian. You play as a detective who's come to investigate the disappearance of a boy's parents. While investigating the sewers, they stumble into some fishman zombie guy who can just phase through the floor. Real Shadow over Innsmouth stuff here. As you continue to investigate, the mayor outright tells you to keep to yourself. His daughter is the only one willing to talk, so you question her about the symbol you found in the sewers. She tells you of one near the lake and leads you out there. On the way, you discover this giant, horrific fish monster thing, which isn't too hard to kill, actually. Search yet another underground area for a key, and then return to the first door you found in the sewers. But when you open it, all you find is a solid brick wall. Confused, you turn to question the mayor's daughter, but it's too late. The mayor is here, and he and his fish cronies jump you. They pull you down underground, and it feels like you're drowning, but just barely you live. Or at least you live long enough to fight this unsettling-looking god guy. I don't know what happens if you beat him, though, because I didn't. This game has incredible artwork, fantastic music, and an engaging combat system. It also has an insanely cool hidden mechanic, which is that if you drink enough water from the town, which is a very useful item, you are too weakened to struggle against the divinity and don't even get to fight it. But there's a chance you could still be strong enough, and I really like this mechanic because it makes sense to the game's setting and feels like there's a real consequence to not being as cautious as the characters are telling you to be. All in all, it's just not higher because the ending dragged on a little and I didn't find the setting to be as creative as the winning games. It also did not have footstep sounds.
Whoa, that game was crazy, but you know what's even crazier? The fact that 78% of you are not subscribed. We're trying to hit 30,000 subscribers, so if you love indie games, give that red button a big ol' kiss.
The best I can describe it as is a psychological thriller about footstep sounds. It starts off as a silly 3D foot model, but every time you close and reopen the game, things ramp up. The story gets crazier, the footstep sounds more intense, and the epic reveal even more powerful. The whole game is a footstep sound experiment, but it was disguised by swapping the first letters. At the end, you must decide what to do. Will you save the feet from the eternity of making footstep sounds, or will you damn them all? This game was a very quirked up white boy and really fun to play through. Everyone was laughing the entire time, which wasn't exactly my goal with this jam's theme, but it was a creative story. The gameplay was simple yet fun 3D parkour, and the music and visuals were very unique. Revenir is a game about returning to the town that I think you were once the cult leader of. Something fire-related happened in the past which you caused that led to many members suffering. Supposedly, you've come back to help them, but everyone has mixed feelings about it, and what exactly you're trying to accomplish is kind of unclear, as is the ending. If this game's plot was only slightly more on theme and a little more explained, it would be my absolute favorite of the Game Jam. Revenir feels like a giant Metroidvania puzzle game made in RPG Maker, which is really impressive. As are these transitions. Oh, look at that. There is a huge variety of puzzles, and many that you'll stumble upon, pass again and again, and only be able to complete after you unlock a certain skill or item. There is always something to be doing in this game. I never once got bored. The combat, too, is really fun. It's simple, but it's presented in a unique visual style and requires you to make tough decisions in terms of gaining rage to do big attacks or healing and protecting yourself. This feels like a game which should be sold on Steam, and I have no doubt that in a jam with a different theme, it would have won. However, it did not have footstep sounds. Wither is a game about the death of a Victorian-era woman's husband. It's now just her and her baby in this huge house, which is apparently now infested with spirits. The plot kinda just ends there. It's mostly just a big haunted house game, and the plot is definitely why this game did not rank higher, although its massive use of AI did cause major controversy in the stream chat. Listen, AI was allowed in this jam. Many thought that this would result in a huge, uncreative, shovelware adult AI-generated horror slop fest. I didn't see that once, though. though. The only inkling of AI slop was in the title screen art in this game, but otherwise I think AI was used creatively and as a positive tool in this jam. This game could not have been put together without a strong creative talent at the center of it. It's not one of those trashy LinkedIn vibe-coded games. AI is a new tool that certainly has its issues, biggest of which is the legality of where art is sourced from, but it is a new technology that seems to be here to stay, and we, as developers, must contend with it. Anyways, exploring this giant mansion as a defenseless woman with a clumsy step thanks to our BBL was really unnerving. I felt like every second something was gonna get me, and the inclusion of our even more defenseless baby really added to my stress levels. Jump scares were done generally well in my opinion too. Instead of a PNG just jumping at you, the monster would appear in the environment, often while you were looking through a keyhole. It was the fear of what you'd find next that made you nervous, not of what ear-splitting noise was gonna destroy you. I thought the game's vibe was really on point and the puzzles were simple yet engaging, but once again, there were no footstep sounds, which especially sucks in a game so heavily carried by its atmosphere.
Since you're watching this video, I know that you love indie games, and ToastyTime channel memberships are the best memberships on YouTube to support indie game development and at a reasonable price. So for less than a McDonald's hamburger, hit that join button today and let's make awesome indie games together.
Haven centers around our protagonist writing a letter to his love interest, reflecting on their time together. He spent all of his time with her, ignoring his friends to write her letters and talk to her, which she encouraged. One day, he brings her flowers, but overhears her talking on the phone. Turns out, she's just playing with him, which results in pure cinema.
Oh, that's an angry fucking knock. Whoa, holy shit!
What the fuck?
The rest of the game is just a prolonged crash out, which shows an incredibly raw look into the thoughts of what I can best guess is a first love lost for a young developer. The violence, though, ramps up to a point of absurdity. At one point, you even unalive a baby. Not actually, I mean, it's all in the protagonist's head, or I guess the game ends with him delivering the letter, so supposedly everything we see is what he wishes he could tell the girl is how he felt after she did that to him. Look, you can't deny that this game's well put together. The art's stunning, the sound design and music choice are fantastic, the pacing's great, feels very cinematic, and the combat is mostly fun. The reason it didn't get a top 4 spot though is because the combat does drag on towards the end. You might have thought it was going to be because of the writing, but that's really tough to judge. Some will see this as infantile incel rage, others will find comfort in the exploration of relatable feelings that come of hurt and betrayal. I do think that for me it was a little too much crash out, that it became slightly hard to take seriously, and that's where I got hung up, but I do just want to say that picking a winner in this jam was incredibly hard, and it's okay if your list looks different than mine. This game did have footstep sounds. Lumotaxia is a game where you play as a group of moths walking home through the forest. There are legends about monstrous evils lurking here, but Thistle is a little hothead and wants to look cool. So he dashes off into the forest with his friends hot on his heels. From here, you decide what fate awaits him, with 13 different endings, which is insane, but my particular favorite is when he enters the Black Moss. After wandering for a while, he hears noise off the beaten path. Approaching it, thinking it's his friends, he finds a terrifying beast that copies his voice perfectly. Cutting to your friends, they hear Thistle's voice and think they've found him, but it's too late. They make a quick plan to run in different directions, but at the last second, the meek Clover pushes Oak into the beast's jaws. Turns out the shy twink anime boy Clover was friends with the beast from the beginning. Top 10 anime betrayals. I love this game for its unique setting, strong visuals, insanely strong monster designs, and haunting writing that genuinely had me freaked out even after stream ended. There were enough choices and endings too that I felt like I had a huge part to play in how the story played out, and the music was very creepy and added a lot to the atmosphere. It even, technically, had footstep sounds. Unnerved is a game where you play as an extracted nervous system. As you play, you find the other parts of your body and slowly learn that you were a scientist. You apparently had created a weapon for which the world turned on you, think Oppenheimer, and so you went into hiding and developed a super powerful AI to facilitate your protection. However, slowly it grew more and more independent, eventually using your unnerving technology, which had allowed you to create minions of your dead enemies, on those who were still alive. It took more and more control until finally it unnerved you, separated your body, and placed security robots everywhere to prevent you from coming back, which is where our story began. This is such an insanely unique setting for a game, it instantly blew me. Combine that with the gorgeous pixel art, the diegetic way the story is told through optional notes, very strong combat, and simple yet fun little puzzles, and I had nothing but joy on my face playing this game. Well, save for the fact that it didn't have any music. It was hard for me not to put this game higher. I think it has huge potential as a complete project, and I loved every single element on display minus the lack of music. What pushed it this high, though, was the sheer originality of the setting, which I am still gobsmacked by. I mean, this is why I love RPG Maker. Plus, it had absolute peak footstep sounds. Widow is about exploring an eerie, desolate world that seems to be dying. It's home to strange creatures who seem hopeless, rooms of meat, and the disturbing feeling that you're stuck in a loop as each time you die, you respawn and must remove your past body in order to progress, seemingly being the one to put the nail in their coffin. After finding an instrument and giving it to this guy, he gives you the key to seek out the spider, though he warns you not to. Dodging these creepy spiderlings, you finally reach him. It's up to you whether you embrace or deny him, but either way, you will be trapped here forever. This game absolutely won out on atmosphere. I was so unsettled the entire time, partly because of the short view distance, partly because of the visuals, partly because of the music, and partly because of the restricted movement. This game used MV3D, so movement was restricted to 8 directions, even though I could look around freely. There was another game in this jam that used MV3D called Jarring, and it did a fantastic job swapping between 3D and 2D perspectives to build tension and never quite let players get comfortable. Both of these games made fantastic use of this plugin, and I was really astonished seeing how well of a game it can make. It felt very surreal, and the puzzles were there to be fun while also freaking me out in their design. This one I was worried what would be around each turn, this one I was worried what would be behind each door, and this one made me get really close to the freaky spiders. This game is an experience meant to be played, not just watched. Plus, say it with me, it had fire footstep sound. Broken Needle is a game where you must rebuild your daughter's body by stealing the perfect parts from other people. The story is centered around you confessing to a detective. First, you tell of stealing the torso from a lady of the night who just wanted to support her daughter. Then you kidnap a dirty homeless man after failing to find a woman, give him a shower and a meal, and then steal his arms. Finally, you chase a jogger through the woods trying to steal her legs, but she trips and ruins them. You take them anyway though because you're desperate, and right when you make your daughter beautiful again, the police finally get you. Turns out your daughter had actually entered a vegetative state in the hospital, and he just wanted to make her whole again, losing his mind along the way. The gameplay is really the only place you can debate on if Broken Needle deserves first place, in my opinion, because the visuals are mind-bogglingly eerie, yet are beautiful. The visual storytelling, with the interrogation room getting creepier and creepier, matches the ramping up of what we're seeing and how our protagonist is getting more and more insane and frantic. The lighting and cinematic reveals of the daughter were dramatic, as was the music, so I can't believe I'm really doing this, but a game without footstep sounds is the winner of the Toasty Jam.
Congratulations to everyone who submitted a game to my first ever game jam. I was absolutely blown away by the response and by the quality of games submitted. You guys just went absolutely nuts, and you should be super proud of yourselves. And winners, you guys should get a double congratulations. I don't know how the heck you made games as incredible as you did in such a short time frame, but you just blew me away and inspired me to do even better while working on my own game, Grimdelve, which you can find a link to in the description of this video. We absolutely will be running more game jams in the future, so be sure to hit the subscribe button so you can stay informed when those are happening. Also, consider joining the Discord server. It's super active now post game jam, and you will hear every update immediately as it's happening in real time. Now, if you've never made a game before, I hope that this video has inspired you to get outside or get onto your computer, open up a game making software of your choice. I think RPG Maker is a great one to start on, and start making games. They're an amazing creative outlet, and it's just really fucking fun. I know that the world will be better off for you making games and sharing your ideas. So get out there, give it a shot, happy game making, and thank you for watching this video.